In 1982, director John Landis and the movie industry itself was put on trial for the accidental death of actor Vic Morrow and 2 children during the filming of the movie Twilight Zone. In a scene not used in the film, a helicopter hovers too close to ground explosives. As it falls, it decapitates Vic Morrow and one of the children. It crushes the other child. All 3 are killed instantly. For the next 30 seconds, you're about to witness this tragic accident. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end.
Our being found not guilty doesn't change the tragedy. It doesn't change the accident. I've learned that the concept of an accident is terrifying to people. And well, there must be somebody's fault.
Leading stunt injury attorney, Jerry Kroll.
Well, unfortunately, helicopters are probably the most dangerous thing going on in the movie business right now. Just in the last 2 months, 3 months, at least 6 people have died from helicopter crashes. And if you go back to 1982, it was a helicopter accident that killed Vic Morrow and those 2 little girls. It's simply the largest factor right now in deaths in the movie business.
There have been 11 film-related helicopter fatalities and 13 injuries since the Twilight Zone incident. They are as follows. Airwolf, USA, 1 dead. Braddock, missing in action 3, Philippines, 4 dead. Delta Force 2, Philippines, 5 dead. Hired to Kill, Greece, 1 dead. 2 of the more serious crashes occurred in the Philippines, and both accidents involve Chuck Norris films, under the auspices of the Cannon Film Group. The Braddock missing in action 3 crash occurred on May 30th, 1987, when a leased Philippine Air Force chopper en route to the set plunged into Manila Bay, killing 4 and injuring 5. The Delta Force 2 accident occurred on May 16, 1989, near Tagaytay, when a French-manufactured Dauphine helicopter failed during filming on the set. 5 people were killed and 3 others were seriously injured. This man, Aaron Norris, directed both Braddock Missing in Action 3 and is currently directing Delta Force 2. This man, Dean Ferrandini, served as stunt coordinator in charge on Braddock Missing in Action 3 and holds the same title on Delta Force 2, which is still in production. The Delta Force 2 crash took place on location in a remote mountainous area. Eyewitness Katie Dover.
It was in the late afternoon. It was the last shot of the day, and everyone was standing around the helicopter. They were preparing to do the scene. There are 8 people on the helicopter. There was the gaffer, the key grip, the director of photography on 2nd unit, the focus puller, Jeff Brewer was an actor, Mateo Gomez an actor, John Ryan, and the helicopter pilot, Jojo Imperial. Anyway, they're all on the helicopter, and we move away, and the helicopter goes up, starts rising up. It goes up 10, 15 feet. It may have been a little further, but at least as tall as a house. So I see this helicopter move over toward the guardrail. Now, it's above the guardrail, mind you, and it moves over, and it seems to hover for a few seconds, and I heard a thud. It sounded like a car when the carburetor gets stuck. And I jerked my head around, and I see this helicopter starting to sort of angle and start falling.
Actor Mateo Gomez was in the helicopter and barely survived the crash.
That's when I heard the sound. Sort of what I tend to describe as a dry boom. It was like boom. So like, instead of boom, like a bomb. And then it hit the tail. And when it hit the tail, then it went down like that again. And that's when I got hit. I got my face smashed. And from there on, I don't remember anything else. If you fall in there, forget it. You're going to have a rough time, as we did. And 5 of us, I'm not going to be here anymore.
After the helicopter crash, an otherwise normal day on the movie set turned into a nightmare. Katie Dover.
There was smoke so thick that you couldn't see anything. So it obviously was burning at some point. And there were stuntmen running up over the mountain and over the guardrail and trying to get down to the helicopter as quickly as possible. But they were bumping into each other and yelling chaotically, "We need water, we need fire extinguishers." None of this stuff was around. They began throwing bodies, dead and alive, into vehicles, cars, and stunt people were riding with them toward a hospital. They didn't know where to go. They were going, "Where do we go?" And the drivers were confused and didn't know either.
Stunt coordinator in charge, Dean Ferrandini.
I wish I could say it was something specific that we knew about, but it wasn't a stunt. It was a simple takeoff of a helicopter. So we weren't planning for anything at all. And when you cover yourself on a set, you cover yourself with doctors, which we had. You cover yourself with ambulances, which we had. We were close to the hospitals.
The two ambulances, as they're called, were no more than empty vans. They had a mattress in the bottom. They had no medical supplies in the van at all, nothing. No plasma, no oxygen, no bandages, nothing.
The medical attention he received in the Philippines almost cost Mateo Gomez his left eye.
Because the thing was so swollen, and my nose, I think the bone in my nose broke the sinuses, sac, whatever they call it. All these things were coming out everywhere through my nose and through the eye open. So I think what happened is it looked to them like it was the eye gel or whatever you call it that was coming out. So they figured probably the eye was broken and smashed. They probably thought my skull was cracked. At least that's what I heard that they said. They wanted to relieve the pressure in my skull by taking the left eye out.
The helicopter accident was a very tragic and unfortunate situation that occurred in the Philippines, but it was a simple takeoff and landing. There was not a stunt involved.
When you use a helicopter in a scene like this, I think it's kind of hard to say it's not a stunt. To say that the helicopter went up and down, that doesn't qualify as a stunt, no.
International Stunt Association President Jack Gill.
As far as stunt coordinators go, most stunt coordinators take the position that any time a helicopter takes off, it's a stunt. And if you can get by with putting a stunt person in there, we always do it with a stunt pilot.
Helicopters are dangerous, and they should be used prudently and as safely as possible.
Some Hollywood insiders have heard a different story regarding the use of helicopters in the Philippines. Screen Actors Guild National Stunt Safety Chairman Bob Carlson.
I have heard that the chopper was one that had been inactive for some period of time. I've heard as much as 4 years that the helicopter had not been in action, and that the pilot gassed it up, took it off, and went to the set. Obviously, I don't think you have to be an expert in helicopters or in stunt work or in filmmaking or in any of those areas to know that that's not the way to do business.
Now, whether or not he got an aircraft that's airworthy is something that's totally up in the air, because overseas there's no FAA regulation at all. And so he could go get an airplane with one wing on it and say, we're going to use this in our movie and try and fly it. There's nobody there to stop him. With a qualified stunt coordinator like on Lethal Weapon 2 or any of the big pictures like that, very rarely does anything happen, and everything is set up so precisely, and they don't balk on the money at all, and everything's right down the line. If you say, I have to have so many safety guys here because I don't think it's safe without these guys, they give it to you.
You're dealing with action films. That's the biggest thing right now. Lethal Weapon 2 just opened. It's one of the most action-packed films ever. License to Kill, the James Bond film. Action. Chuck Norris films. Action. That's the big thing in Hollywood today.
We're gonna die!
And the more action films you do, the more you're going to get people trying to get the bigger bang for the buck. And that's where you have all these accidents happening when you try to achieve that. Right now, you got an industry that is holding its breath, hoping nothing happens. And when these helicopter crashes have happened recently, we have a lot of attention. The question is, what are we going to do with it?
my only friend, the end.
The basic rule has to be no film shot is worth anyone's life.
When you have a major trauma like this, you need something superhuman. You need something beyond and completely outside the realm of most human efforts.
Stuntman Charlie Brewer lost his brother Jeff in the Delta Force II tragedy.
Aren't people's lives worth a superhuman effort? Whatever it takes, isn't an individual's life worth it?
A lot of things are being taken away from myself. Also, you know, my friends. These people were not my friends for life, but in a very short time, you know, I got to know these people and to appreciate the friendship, and they were really, really good people that didn't deserve to die.
And you ask yourself, to what point will this continue to go on in the movie business? To what point? How many lives do we have to lose? We shouldn't have to lose any lives. But it goes on and on and on. And who is held accountable? Nobody. Nobody will take the responsibility.
Victim Jeff Brewer's widow, Tammy Brewer.
You know, movies are make-believe, and the effects that the stuntmen create should remain make-believe. When one man dies, that's not make-believe. You know, my husband and my children's father could very well be alive today if the love of money didn't reign where safety should have.
It's not easy to point the finger, but somehow I feel sometimes that maybe it could be prevented.